Hey, my Facebook family, how are you? I'm checking out my sound. Hopefully, make sure you know if you let me know how it's sounding. Remember, give me my thumbs up. Make sure you guys can hear as well. We're back again Tuesday night, 8:30, as we do every Tuesday to talk about relationship. And I see some of my folks coming on. As you know, as a Facebook live community, we come together and we come together and we talk about relationship. We ask questions, we make comments, and we come together to really, help people with relationships. So I'm Al Laws. For those of you who do not know, I'm Al Laws, and this is my wife.
Hello.
Aisha. And what we do is we come together and we share from our heart, from our experience. This is not, textbook stuff. This is stuff that's coming from some place that's real. So you're always going to get real responses from us. And just forgive us as we have been adjusting our technology. But remember, every Tuesday night that we come on, you can always follow. And I see my followers coming on. Hey, Angela. Yeah, I see that. Okay, I see Angela coming on. Hey, how you doing? You can also look at us and look at our previous shows. I want you to go on YouTube under Al Laws Jr. And I think my sound is good, so I'm going to take these off. You can go under Al Laws Jr. and you can see, you actually can view all of our past shows, and you will be blessed by those. So please go on YouTube and refer others to YouTube and let them know that you hear us, you're with us, and you're getting something from Advice for Life show. You also can go on our website. The website is www.advice4life.us. That's advice, 4life.us. And we have all of our podcasts there, so you can just hit the podcast tab and you'll be blessed by listening to almost 100 shows that we've done in the past on relationship. But I really want you to go to YouTube and send as many people to YouTube as you possibly can. You also can listen to our show, which is streaming on iHeartRadio. You just download the iHeartRadio app. And when you download that app, you can actually listen to us. You can hear us on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. and also on Tuesdays, which is tonight at midnight. So if you want to hear some of what we did previously, you can go on tonight at midnight. Go to the iHeartRadio app and listen to us, stream us as we're giving you feedback from tonight at 12 midnight. Now, the beautiful thing is that those of you who are in LA, you will be able to get us at 9 a.m. Isn't that right? 9 a.m., 12, 3?
Yep. Is that right?
Yep, 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. in the evening, on Tuesday evenings, those of you tonight, if you're listening to us in LA on the West Coast, you can also get to hear us on iHeartRadio. But you always can go to, Facebook. Make sure that you follow me on Facebook, Al Laws Jr. This spring, I'm going to be doing this dynamic series on how to relate to your finances. You don't want to miss that. And only the people who are following me on Facebook will really get an opportunity to do it. You also, I don't know that there's a follow on YouTube. There might be. If you follow me on YouTube, the same thing will happen. I have to check that out with my people. I'm not sure. But you can always view us on YouTube. Remember, every Tuesday, we're talking about how to improve your relationship. So that has to do with you gaining skills, insight, wisdom, and we're definitely going to take it from a godly perspective. And no matter where you're coming from, no matter who you are, and I would also say no matter what you believe right now, you're going to get something. It's going to transform your life. It's going to transform your heart and show you why when we give these biblical insights into relationship, how powerful they are. And I'm hoping that they lead you to a deeper relationship and a deeper call to God. So loving to have you. I see the thumbs up. I'm also giving you the thumbs up if my volume is good. If you see the hearts, I see my brother Michael Johnson on here. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Blessing, blessing, blessing. Teddy, I see Teddy. Hey, Teddy.
Oh,
man,
my
I am
goodness,
so glad
Teddy.
that you're doing well, Teddy. I talked to your wife, man. It's good to see you. Good to know that you flowing, you popping, you back in action.
Yes.
If any of you can follow this trail, Teddy Coates, one of the best organizers, event organizers you'll find. You need to contact him and friend him. And I see Mom's on there. And yeah, so I see people coming on. I love that you're there. Remember, if you look on the left-hand corner of your device, if you flip it around, it might be on your right. You just hit that box that says share, and that'll let other people know that you're here with us and to join us. So if you could do that, share, it's fair. That's what I always say, because really this is a blessing, a service, a ministry to you. So just I just want you to let people know and keep directing traffic to what we're doing if you appreciate what we're doing. So you can make sure during the week that you share as well. We need you to share it. We need you to when you go on YouTube, I need you to share it on YouTube. I need you to direct people to this site if it's blessing your heart, if it's blessing you. Some of you are listening, and I know you're listening, because when I get done with this show, I usually have about 300 to 400 people who have shown that they are listening. And some of you don't say hi, and I understand that. Say hi sometimes, check in, just let us know that you're there. Love to know that you're there. And we always appreciate your thumbs up, your hearts, and your smiles as we're going forward. And I see Jet is on here too.
Hey.
So I'll try to acknowledge you as much as I can as we go forward. And my wife, really, I'm going to let her open up, because she really has something very powerful that God really put on her heart. And so I just wanted her to start off, and I'm just going to feed off of you, babe, today, and let you give what's on your heart. So,
well, I mean, what was in my spirit was how do we limit the places in our lives and in our heart if we're disappointed? I'm not talking about somebody mortally wounding you or physically assaulting you. I'm talking about someone not responding the way that you expect them to respond.
Or expected.
Right. Being someone authentic or original or different than how you would respond.
Right.
And how do we respond to that? How do we do that with God? If God decides that someone in our lives that we adore isn't healed and they do leave and go home to be with him, do we limit his power? Do we say, okay, well, now I can trust you with this, I can trust you with that, maybe my finances, but over people that I love and in their lives, I can't trust you anymore there. So I think we do that. We hinder and we put spots in the love feast when we respond that way. We have to be able to work on that and endure more, be able to endure all things. That's part of perfecting love.
Right.
Being able to endure all things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I love that. I love that you're talking about how we all face that. That's a real thing that all of us face, that there's either disappointment in relationship or things that we believe that we wanted God. We believe God was kind of directing us, and we wanted God to fulfill something in our life, and it didn't happen exactly the way we had envisioned it. And so that's the nature of disappointment. Disappointment causes us to feel very hopeless.
Yes.
In the moment, we feel hopeless, and we didn't get what we wanted. And it's important for us to get what we want. That's what
this society. You're so right. I mean, we're accustomed to getting what we want when we want it.
Right.
And I think that is immature. It's one of those childish things, and we have tantrums, and then we go into the corner and we stay there.
Right.
And we believe it's the other person instead of us. We're putting the screen up, and we're blocking God out. We're blocking the other person out, and we're identifying it as them.
Right. Well, when we get to a place where we're disappointed, especially in relationship, we have a tendency to lose trust, and because we don't know, we all try to ask God what direction we should go. And then if we get disappointed, there's this tendency where we lose some level of trust, some
Right.
ability to move forward. We don't trust ourselves, which is not totally unhealthy. I mean, we should be looking at ourselves and looking at our process, because usually anything that's happened to us definitely has something to do with how we were processing in that moment.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
although the other person has something to do with it, of course, our tendency is to always project all of it on the other person, or most of it on the other person's dynamic. So we always can see clearly what the other person has done or what they didn't do. But when we come to ourselves, we have a tendency not to look at ourselves completely. So I think it's somewhat healthy for you to look at yourself and say, what did I do?
Exactly.
What is it that I need to learn from this dynamic? Now, I caution you, because even though I think you should go through that process of examining yourself, and I'm going to talk some more about examining yourself, you should not go to a place where you condemn yourself.
Right.
Where you have self-condemnation, because that's not healthy. You go on to the other side when you put yourself down to a point where you make it so that you can't recover, you can't change.
It's no longer constructive.
It's not constructive. It's not constructive. And what some people do, and this happens, and I probably might get in trouble for this, but what my observation is true. More times than not, females have this tendency to look at themselves in a deeper fashion than males, and I'm talking from my experience. That may not be scientifically correct, but from my experience in the years that I've done this, women will look a lot deeper, and so they will have a tendency to blame themselves for the entire dynamic, or for a lion's share of the dynamic, when they're in their own personal space. I mean, they may not do that when they're with the other person, but they definitely in their own personal space. And so they will carry that blame almost like it was my fault. Like if I hadn't done so and so. And guess what? We're all supposed to ask that question, if I hadn't done so and so. But when you get to the place where you put it on yourself and you blame yourself, look, it takes two to tango. Isn't that what? It takes two to tango. So any dynamic that's happened and disappointment has come and you can't resolve it, it's because both people have not brought to the table what's necessary for it to be successful. The only thing that you can do is to learn your own lesson and to be prepared and look at yourself in an honest way, so that you can be somebody different, that you can do something different the next time you get into a relationship dynamic.
There's wisdom in the multitude of counsel.
Right.
When you feel, when you're identifying that, inside of yourself, you want to be able to believe what you see.
Right.
There's wisdom in the multitude of counsel. God shows us how to do that.
Okay.
He shows us how to see and discern the others in our lives. You know them by their fruit.
Right.
He gives us ways so that we can see it. We can see it. Now, when you're reflecting, you have to reflect with truth.
Right.
See it through the eyes of truth.
Right.
That's why wisdom and counsel are necessary, because you can blame an entire situation on yourself.
Right.
I mean, you could blame someone broke in the house and
stole your stuff,
stole everything. You can blame it on you didn't buy the other lock and Lowe's.
Right.
That you can do that if
Right.
you really want to.
Right. Right.
So
right.
you have to look at everything through the eyes of truth. And I think as we mature, we stop that blame game. We
Right.
don't, the older women don't place what is the fault of the other on themselves as easily as the younger
That's
do.
important.
Because the younger
Yes.
women are so impressed upon them to be liked, and so they're creating themselves still.
Right.
They're still creating themselves into what is pleasing and what is pleasant, and not knowing what their limitation is in that.
Right.
And it's still developing in who they are before God.
Right.
And once you develop who you are before God and see those things that you like and that you don't like and you want to change and you got to change, then your 30s are they're a little easy. Okay, I got to change that. That got to go.
I gotta go.
This can stay, but we got to really train that up. And,
Right.
then you're a little more comfortable in your skin and nobody can walk in your face and say, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have done that.
Exactly. Which is interesting how you said is to take something that's clearly somebody else's work, clearly something else that somebody else has to work on, and you put it on yourself, or you take it, or you hold it as though it's yours.
Right.
See, that's not healthy.
That's not healthy.
And and then somebody just made a comment which I thought was very powerful. That was April. Hey, April, good to see you. She said, we must examine ourselves before we start pointing and blaming others. That's very powerful, because we definitely have a tendency to want to point at others. And so, when somebody blames you for something that's really theirs to hold, that's that person's immaturity. And so in the reverse is true. It's your immaturity if you allow something to be put on you that's really not your work.
That's right.
Now, you got to take ownership for your work. But if it's really not your work, it's immaturity, because that's an immature response. That's that response we talked about in the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about how it was very natural. It's very natural for us, almost like a gut response, to blame. Because when Adam was approached by God and he said, what is this that you have done, Adam? His first response was to point. And he said, that it's the woman that you gave me. And I've said this many times, but I think it bears importance to repeat. The woman, he points his finger and says, it's the woman. He points to the woman. I'm not pointing. It's the woman that you gave me. So in one statement, he blames the woman for his issue. And then, just in case the woman wasn't a strong enough case, he said, you, God, that you gave me. So he blamed the woman and he blamed God. Anything that was necessary to keep it off of themselves. And usually we blame because we don't want to look at it. We don't want to hold it. We don't want to take the responsibility of what it requires for us to own it. And that's tough, because when you have to take responsibility, there's some pain to look at yourself. When you look in the mirror and you have to reflect on your own process and what you're doing, it's so much easier to talk about and see so clearly what the other person is doing. That's why Jesus says you have to take out the mote that's in your eye before you try to get the splinter. So he says that there's a log, a tree log. You got a big tree log in your eye, meaning that in your process and how you are dealing with your thoughts and feelings and your behaviors, you got a big log, but you can see the little splinter that's in your brother's eye. You can always see the smallest thing, the smallest speck about how somebody else is missing it, but you won't look at yours. And you might have a big log in yours because it's painful, to deal with that. If you pull a log out your eye, it's much more painful than pulling out a splinter in somebody else's eye.
Absolutely. I mean, but I think that we avoid managing and learning in this life,
right?
Because we don't have the vision. We don't have the vision right for what is your purpose. We don't have the purpose right. We have to identify that we are here to learn and grow.
Right. Right.
We're supposed to be consistently learning and grow. If you go to college and you write a paper and you try your best at this paper, man, you done tried your best, and the teacher comes back and gives you, the professor comes back and gives you a B-, you're thinking, what? I worked, I studied, I know my stuff. What is the B-? And then he points out the ways that you could have created a better atmosphere in your paper or done something better. You're here to learn.
Right.
You can't get mad when he's trying to teach you another way. And what happens in relationships is we believe when we're entering in that we're there for us. We believe that we're there for that person to do something for us. But when that person begins to do something for you, like make you grow, and And it doesn't feel good.
Say it again, sweetie.
When that person begins to do what their purpose is
What
and
their
help
purpose
you
is.
grow.
To help you grow.
You keep looking at them. Like, it's got to be there for. Like, what's wrong with the professor?
Right.
He didn't catch my drift. He didn't,
he didn't really see my brilliance.
He's not on my level.
That's exactly what we do.
He's not on my level. That's why he don't get it.
When a person is trying to help us grow, I love how you said that. We really get into an attack mode where now we have to disqualify the messenger. Because remember, we talked about that last week, how we kill the messenger instead of really embracing the message. Because we can grow from any situation. So that person in your life, those people, whether it's your children, your mother, your father, your uncles, your aunt, your cousins, your roommate, your colleagues at work, God, it's not a mistake. God puts people strategically in your life. It could just be the person you just hang out with once in a while, but they have been designed and sent to be part of that improvement process for you.
Absolutely.
And what we do sometimes is we have to discount, or we have to find something about them to cancel out their influence or their word,
right,
or what they're giving us, rather than seeing each of them as a divine love connection that God has sent. I like that. Yeah. A divine love connection that God, by his love, sends people in our life to give us insight and give us wisdom and give us, sometimes he sends people in our life to help us see what we should not do.
Right.
I mean, that happens sometimes.
That's right. Like the double negative that the teacher would say don't do.
Right. Excuse me, I got to do this right here.
You know?
Wow. I don't know what happened, but my phone all my power just jumped out of my phone. I guess it's from my microphone and everything. So anyway, let me get to Michael asked a question. I see you, Melisha, too. Good to see you, sweetie. It's been a while. Michael's question was, he said, question I have thinking about ending my relationship of 11 years. The marriage is called off. I want to end it because of lack of finances, financial drive, and more. What's the advice? So, my first statement is going to be finance is probably one of the number one reasons why people separate in relationships. And that's family relationships and marriage relationships. I'm going to deal with that, Mike, when I do my series, but I want to give you this. If money can separate you and can move you in relationship, then you haven't founded your relationship on the proper foundation. Mm-hmm. See, I always tell people you can determine the level and how deep your relationship really is by how people respond to money, because people have this response to money that it gets lifted up higher or on par with what God has. Right. That's why he only compared, out of all the things in the world, God only compared himself. Jesus compared the relationship with money with the relationship with God. He said you can't serve God and you cannot serve mammon, meaning money. So you can't serve money and you can't serve God at the same time. Now, what it means, not that you can't have money and not that you can't even pursue money. It means that your relationship with money and how you view money and finances has to be in check. Because if you don't, that relationship with money will rise itself up to the higher things. And what are the higher things? The things that you really have to be looking for in a relationship is you have to be looking for a person that has a pure heart, a person that has a love for God, a person who is willing to be open in exchange a relationship. You have to be looking for the integrity. You have to be looking for, what, you had something else? What were you thinking?
No, I'm not following you.
Yeah, you could be looking for, you should be looking for these things, a person being willing to be open and to be kind and to be caring. Those are the highest things. Now, I've talked to a lot of people in my years of counseling, and they may struggle with the other person not being able to have the same kind of drive for finances and money. And so you have to make that decision at that point, because suppose you get somebody who's driven by finances, but that's what they're really driven by. They're not driven by love. They're not driven by commitment. I'll take a person who's not driven for money more than I would take a person I would take a person driven by commitment and love and caring, and I could deal with that other part of it. So I know, Mike, I know you're not really saying that, but I'm making that statement for everybody to connect to, that we have to be very careful when it comes to money, because everybody responds differently to it, and you have to be able to find a place that you can accept. I mean, you might have situations where a male says he doesn't want to work. I'm just going to sit home and look at ESPN, so I'm not willing to work. Well, I mean, that could be a reason. That could be a stoppage if that person's not really willing to contribute at all. They're not willing to really do anything as relates to you being able to have provision in your household. That's certainly something that could be brought up and could be an issue. However, you have to really be careful with how you negotiate that thing with finances.
I think you can mix drive for money and slothfulness.
Right.
It's one thing when a person has a job and they're working and they're really not upwardly mobile, meaning that they're good.
Right.
I'm content where I am. I'm not willing to do anything further. That's one thing. It's a whole nother thing when you're working as a couch potato. That's just
your work.
Slothfulness.
That's your work. Yeah,
that's just slothfulness, and that is a reason. That is a reason if a person will not change their slothful ways.
That's right.
I mean, it's one thing to be a housewife. It's a whole nother thing to be a house log. I mean, you just can't do that.
A house log.
You can't do that.
Because I'm not doing no house stuff.
Right, I'm not doing that. I don't do
working.
that. No,
do that.
She, me, her, we don't do that.
That's right.
You know, that's a whole nother level.
Right.
So that's slothfulness. But what mammon puts together, mammon can take apart.
Right.
So if you judge your relationship on money, then so be it.
Right.
Because when years pass,
and when
if she makes more money or money is gone, then so be it.
Right.
The separation will come.
Right.
But what God puts together,
let no man put asunder.
Put asunder. So nothing can separate what God puts together. No one can tear down what God builds up. But money can.
Right.
I mean, if you have nothing, honey, I'm with you.
Right.
You know.
She's true, because she see me down, she see me up. Thank God I'm up now, but I've been down. She was right there, and that's because the Bible says that a brother is made for the day of adversity. It's made a person who is the closest to you, and that's what it's symbolic of, a brother. Mm-hmm. A person that's close to you is made. You can tell who they are when you're at your lowest place, when you're struggling. Because everybody can be nice to you and friendly to you when you're up, when everything's going well. All men can speak well of you when you're up, but when you're down, you really see where people are, and you really see what their heart is towards you. So, that's very powerful. So we had some people join in. Andrea joined in. Inna, hey Inna.
Hi Inna.
Good to see you. Hopefully I get to see you. I'm going to tell your husband to give me a call. I want to get up with him. And so we have some very powerful things. April said, we sometimes have to ask God to reveal the things that are within ourselves so we can work on us and not take old baggage to another relationship.
Amen.
So when we're disappointed and that trust gets touched, and we're going to probably have to close out early tonight, babe, because I think my battery life is going down. So we're going to probably have to end early. But I want to get this one point in. When this trust goes down, when you've been disappointed, and what happens is that you can tend to carry that with you. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I'm just catching up to, this is what came on my heart this morning, is that if we do not learn how to let go, if we don't learn how to really, people say, I may forgive you, but I'll never forget. No, you missed it. No, because you didn't forgive. See, forget it. You should learn a lesson. So your not forgetting should be a lesson, but you should never go and make a statement and say, I'll never forget. Because if you don't forget, that means that you did not translate that issue into a lesson. And so now you're holding on to it as baggage, and you will carry that in different aspects in your life. You can tell because sometimes when you're in a different relationship and a person does something that looks similar or seems similar, you'll jump at it. And the person said, whoa, 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 where's that coming from? And it's coming from a place that you've held, you have not totally forgiven, and you have baggage. And so you will repeat the same thing because of that breakdown in trust. And what I love that when me and my wife entered into a relationship, she was able to acknowledge the things that had happened to her. And some of those things were very tough things for me to hear that she went through, but they were tough. I know they were tough for her. And she was able to translate them into lessons. So what she brought to me in our relationship is the lessons she learned from that relationship. And she didn't bring the baggage, the pain, all the, the things, the distrustfulness that comes when you have gone through a disappointing relationship.
Well, that's when you allow wounds to make you prejudice. When being wounded makes you prejudice. So if a man cheats or if a man abuses verbally or physically, then you can put it on all men. That's how men are.
Right.
That's prejudice. Now you just prejudice.
Right.
It's the same thing with the men. You can flip that, and now you that's how women are. That's how they are. But that's prejudice.
Right.
And that's how it's created. It's created by wounds and fear.
Right. Right. Fear and that comes from you losing that sense of trust. And it gets very deep because if we believe that God has let us down in something, although we might not say it publicly, might not say it verbally, we have to deal with that. Because I've been in situations where I felt like, God, you let me down.
Right.
Now, maybe I'm the only one that has felt that way, but I felt like that. When I lost my mother, I felt like God had let me down. And I had to really deal with that. I had to really struggle and really understand that, at the end of the day, and somebody said this, a lady said this on TV, and she blessed my heart. And this is one of the ladies in Baltimore who had, her grandchild had died in a fire, a house fire that happened. And she made a statement that blew my mind. She said, God never makes a mistake. She said, God never makes a mistake. And I'm telling you, that blessed my heart because I say, here this lady is in the midst of losing her grandchild to a senseless fire. And she was able to really zone in on the depth of the truth that God has us. Whether it looks like it or not, He has us. And we don't understand everything. And I may not understand what happened in my mother's situation until I get to heaven.
Right.
But what I have to always recognize is that He has not made a mistake. He got me. He's going to see me through it no matter what. And so that was comforting for me.
Absolutely. Well, faith is what you can't see. So you're believing past what you can see to where you can see. And so when you're disappointed, it just means you can't see. It's not been revealed.
Right.
The whole vision it's not been revealed yet.
Right. Right. And so that's why I believe when Paul was in the scriptures, he said that he fought the good fight of faith. Look, if faith was so easy, you wouldn't have to fight for it. He's talking about the fact that and I don't prefer to fight, but I do know that when you fight for something, it means that there's opposition. There's things that are going to come that's going to challenge it. And so the fight of faith is that faith is the substance. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And so there's evidence that is not seen. That doesn't mean I have all the evidence. I have pieces because I look through this window of eternity very dimly. It's clouded for me. I see some things, I understand some things, but I don't see it perfectly. There'll be one day when I will be able to see it perfectly. But when I'm disappointed, it's because I have to recognize that I don't see the whole picture. I don't recognize all that's there. And if I was to line it all up and God showed me all the connections in this life, in this universe of why certain things happen, I would say, you know what, God, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so I have to trust Him regardless. I have to trust Him. There's a scripture that says, though He slay me, yet I will trust Him. And so that doesn't mean that He's actually slaying you. It just means that we have those experiences in our life where we feel like we've been slayed, like we've been taken out of here, like we don't understand why we find ourselves in this situation. And that happens in our everyday course of life, whether we have an operation or, something happens at our job, or we lose a job after working, for so many years, or we're in a relationship, or one of our children that we raised so well, like we gave our child everything possible.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they still ended up on drugs, or they still did things that didn't represent, my heart, didn't represent what I gave them in that moment. And so, we have to recognize that even still in that, God will find a way, and he will show himself to be faithful to us in the end. So I see Francis came on. He said, that's the word. And
that's Iris.
Oh,
Hi,
hey,
Iris.
oh, hey, Iris. Yeah, I didn't see Iris. Yeah. So that's all. Look, we got somebody just tuned in from us. She is all the way down in Australia. So we got the down under connection here as well. Carla said, yeah, I felt that way too. And that's good stuff. And several other people, D Flowers said, when the person is there to help you grow. Hashtag, she said hashtag resistance. She probably meant hashtag non-resistance.
No, she said LOL.
Oh, laugh out loud. Yeah, because we do. Hashtag we do resist sometimes. And, it's so powerful. So I just want to remind you guys that we're here every Tuesday at 8:30. We love our Facebook community. I know every time I miss a week, I notice some of my people kind of, slowly kind of drag back. But some weeks we may not be able to do it. But I need you to put that on your calendar, put it on your phone to remind you. Remember, I'm trying to get you to do some views on my YouTube channel, Outlaws Jr. Please go on there and look at those YouTubes and send them to people. You can email them, you can text it to people and drive them to go to YouTube. Remember, share, it's fair. So you can both share. Some of you, I told you could share right now. If that button that's in the corner of your device, hit that right now, right before we go off. That'll let that person or all your friends and family and people know, and they'll be connected to this Facebook Live program. Remember our website, advice4life.us. I have my podcast, almost 100 podcasts on relationship. So you'll be able to hear myself, me and my wife, and some other folks that are on there. I have interviews from people on there. And remember, since I'm talking about that, if you have more questions, and I love, Mike, that you gave a question, I can give you more on that if you want to get to me. But you can either send in the questions. You can actually call. The number is 410-578-8004. That's 410-578-8004. You can either post your question or let us know that you would like to do an interview with us to deal with a situation in your life. And again, I told you about the website. I told you about YouTube and the radio show. Radio show comes on. Download the iHeartRadio app, and you can listen to us 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. And tonight, you can listen to us at 12 midnight. If you're up during that time, get that iHeartRadio app, go to Gospel and then Heaven 600, and you can listen to our program streaming on iHeartRadio. We love you. We're here every Tuesday at 8:30. Please let your friends and family know, and please let us know. I want to see those thumbs. Where's my thumbs and my hearts to let me know that you appreciate the program, that you're here with us. That's always a blessing when you're doing that, always throughout the show. That always encourages us. I see those thumbs up. I see some of the faces on those thumbs up. Your face comes up in those hearts. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We love you guys. And we will see you back here next Tuesday at 8:30 on Facebook Live. And soon, look forward to our programs. We got some exciting things coming up this spring. And we love you. See you next week at 8:30. God bless. Peace.
God bless.
I love them hearts.